Hey gang, today finds us in Wisconsin. We're at a very small town called Germantown. And no, it's not the Germantown that is near Milwaukee. This is more central Wisconsin, a little to the west, southwest, but kind of in the south central area part of the state. And to get here, a lot of small towns you go through. The nearest town, I think, the bigger town is Baraboo. But anyway, we're here to tell a forgotten story. A terrible thing that happened here back in 1982 and totally forgotten, and it really needs to be retold. Now, the victim was a woman who was in her 70s, a grandma, an aunt, a beautiful, nice woman that did so many nice things here. And one of our viewers, that was her great aunt. Her name's Nancy, so we're gonna take time out and make this special journey to tell this story in this little hamlet. Well, it was a series of hamlets that were put together, I think, in the 1820s or 30s to form this little place. So let's take a little walk. The cemetery is right here, the church is right here, and the murder location is right next to that. So let's walk over to this little country store. And again, when you come to these, even today, there's no Walmart, there's no Walgreens, there's still the little mom and pops. And that's what makes these places so amazing and intriguing. So let's walk over and I'll tell you the story. The sad story of Leona Milfred. Now, it was February 10th of 1982, and Leona Milfred here, she was 76 years old. She was working her little country store here, and everything was going great. Now, she had offers to sell this place a number of times, but she wouldn't do it, even though that she was robbed 2 or 3 times in the past years before this happened. She stayed here. Of course, she knew everybody here. These small, close-knit towns, and she would not close it. She didn't want to close it. It was really, the only store, and a lot of people depended on it. And she had a lot of connections, of course, not only with the people here in town, but you'd have the truck drivers who made like the deliveries of all the stock for the store every day or every week. And all these relationships get formed. And most of all, it was the children from the area. They would all come over here to this store that you see right in front of us, right there, to buy candy. And it doesn't look the same today. Nowhere near as nice as it was in those days of the 80s, but it still says ice cream, candy, and cards. And I'm betting that's maybe the original signage. Now, she loved the country. She loved being out here. But she did not want to move. She did not want to go to the big city. She didn't want to be cooped up in an apartment. I mean, her husband had died 16 years before. And she was happy here. But it was going to be a day that evil was going to visit this store right here. She was being stalked. There was a 34-year-old woman. Her name was Bonita Smith, and she was hanging out with this 20-year-old guy. His name was and is James Willison, and they were from that nearby Baraboo I was talking about, and they were on a bloody mission. They had come to this store right here to rob it, rob Leona. She was a sitting duck here, sadly. They were stalking her all day. They were coming in and out, messing with her. Literally, it came down to Willison trying to strangle Leona at some point, but that is when Bonita, this beast, jumped on her and started stabbing her. She stabbed her over 50 times, if you can even imagine. Stabbed her to death. Now these idiots, these two idiots were easily caught. Now, you know, you have this James Willison guy. He's a young punk. I think he was 20, right? But Bonita, she was 34 years old. She's not a dumb kid. She's like a mature adult. But apparently not very mature and very evil. Now listen to this. The really bad part of this is that, you know, justice, right? What was the innovative defense? Well, the innovative defense is, I was a demon. There was a demon inside me, and the demon said, I need to kill her. And she was a demon, and she had yellow eyes. And her yellow eyes and claws, describing Leona, I needed to kill her. Great defense. And then after that she said, well, I don't remember anything. I don't remember. You know, where have we heard that before, right? When haven't we heard that before? But then in the testimony from this goofball, knucklehead, kid, Willison, he goes, oh yeah, we were on a bloody mission, man. We planned to do that. We were like Bonnie and Clyde. It was exciting. We were so cool. Yeah, you're a cool guy with your hair, your rock out hair. You're just a real cool guy, aren't you? Well, we're at the cemetery here. A small cemetery of this beautiful little town. Let's take a look and walk to Leona's grave. She's buried with her husband down in the back here. It looks to be some beautiful old stones. Well, what happened? Well, this is where it really gets maddening, because they went to trial, life sentences. Now, when have we heard this before? And this woman, this Bonita, is out on parole. Life sentence is not a life sentence, folks. Life sentence without parole is not even a life sentence. She had been approved for release after meeting the parole eligibility criteria, which included time served, adequate release plans, completion of programs, minimal risk to public, and sufficient time served as to not depreciate the seriousness of the offense. What in the hell does that mean? Government, law, only they know. The commission determined that Smith posed a minimal risk to the community because of the tools she had gained while incarcerated. Now, this was all outlined by the PR agent, I'll call it, of the parole board, a woman by the last name of Tome, T-O-M-E. And she said, she went further on to say, well, while the commission considers the severity of crimes and the tragedy that comes along with them, they also have to recognize that people have the ability to be rehabilitated and fully understand the magnitude of their actions. And this is really where it just drives me crazy. You know, there's a certain part of this system and judgment and sentencing that's called punishment. And when you punish someone and others see what the punishment is, it's called deterrence. and other people are deterred from doing murders. But if you can go to prison, in my opinion, and you can get rehabilitated or find Jesus, that's the other thing they do. I found Jesus. And then you can get on parole, you know, oh, I regret what I did and I'm rehabilitated. Then, you know what? You can just go out and murder somebody and not worry about it, because you'll get your 3 square meals for a few years and you're going to get out. Okay? So where's the deterrence? Well, they don't get it. It's all about rehabilitation. Who cares about the victim? The victim is the perpetrator, guys. They're the one that needs the help. Those poor things. Poor Bonita. As she smirked. She sat in the courtroom back then and just smirked, looking back at her family or her little boyfriend. The smirking face. Well, I hope you're watching, Miss Smith, because you, talking to you, are going to meet your maker. I think you're in your 70s, aren't you? She's going to meet her maker. All right, let's find the grave here. We're right near here. Yeah, right up here. Milfred. I usually try to not get so involved personally in these stories. Try to keep it as a report and a story, but this one just makes me crazy. And there it is, right next to where it happened, at the cemetery. We have Robert F., who passed in '66, and Leona buried right next to him in 1982. It's so sad. So sad, all the things that she did for this community, and to have something like this happen, just terrible. Well, I brought a flower. For Leona. So sorry, Leona. Rest in peace, and may this story be retold and not forgotten. And may that Bonita and that punk old man Willis, who's still in prison, I think he's still in Willison, whatever his name is, I don't even care. I hope you're haunted every night by your evil deeds, and especially this evil deed. God rest the soul of Leona and Robert, and may your mortal remains here rest in peace undisturbed. Rest in peace.